Seattle Mariners. I'm going to see if that's the case. I'm going to try and look at this while I'm talking here. But that was one of the battles in Seattle, was that they were looking at that fifth spot between James Paxton and Nate Carnes. And part of the problem here is that Paxton's a high upside guy. He was a very highly thought of pitching prospect. And then he ran into a lot of injury problems. And those injury problems for pitching prospects are just a killer. If that is the case, and again, I'm trying to look through it here, through my Twitter timeline to see if that's the case. But, I really like Carnes. I think Carnes is a guy that has a significant amount of upside. I liked him with Tampa Bay. He's got swing and miss stuff. He's going to a really good ballpark to pitch in there at Safeco Field. If Carnes is the guy, and again, I'm trying to confirm that here as I'm talking, I like this Seattle rotation. I mean, I've liked it to begin with. You've got Felix Hernandez, whose downfall, I think, was way overblown last year. Hisashi Iwakuma's back. Taijuan Walker, you won't find many guys with better raw stuff than Taijuan Walker. The command is a question mark, and the command can leave him from pitch to pitch, but his upside is tremendous. So you've got some things to work with here in Seattle, and we'll see what happens for them with a new manager in Scott Service and an interesting, potentially winnable division for them. But I think Carnes is going to be the guy there in that fifth spot, and if not, he certainly should be. But something I will keep you abreast of throughout the week. We'll be right back with a quick note from DSI Sportsbook.
This segment of Bang the Book Radio is brought to you by BetDSI Sportsbook. DSI is one of the industry leaders in customer service, wagering options, and is offering Bang the Book listeners a $10 free betting account just for signing up. Simply sign up with a promo code BANG10. Again, that's BANG10 and get $10 free today at BetDSI.
Make sure you head on over there to BetDSI. Take advantage of that BANG10 promo code. Who knows? Maybe you'll find something to play in one of these tournaments I'm going to discuss here with Kyle Hunter, HunterSportsPicks.com. Kyle, how are you today, sir?
Doing good, man. Had a good weekend with good family time, and looking forward to a week of basketball here.
Yeah, definitely. We're winding down on the season, unfortunately. Only 3 games left in the NCAA tournament. We have some other stuff to talk about from some of the smaller conference tournaments. The NIT semifinals are Tuesday night. The CBI final begins tonight. And then also we've got CIT action coming up here this week. And the Vegas 16 tips off today in Vegas. So some exciting, albeit under-the-radar types of games.
Yeah, but we like these under-the-radar games, and certainly ones that I've done better with over the years. And I think that most bettors can do a good job on these if they focus in on these and find some line mistakes. There was quite a bit going on there with the NCAA tournament this past weekend. Now we've got a pretty decent break till next Saturday, and still several college basketball games left here this week, but then we're winding things down.
Any additional thoughts? I know we touched on the Vegas 8. I'm just going to refer to it as the Vegas 8 because there aren't 16 teams. Although then again, I guess college sports are known for not really having the right number. I mean, the Big Ten has, 14 teams, and the Big 12 has 10. So just kind of something that I guess they're used to. But any other thoughts on these Vegas 8 games before we get into some other stuff today?
Well, I'm looking at the Vegas 8 games here. I'm looking at the public betting numbers. I wonder how much the public is betting a game like this. So I don't want to put too much stock in things like that. But public really taking Old Dominion heavily, almost 90% of the public on Old Dominion here in the first game. And that tips off at 3 p.m. Eastern, so not much time from now. But Old Dominion's gone from -8 down to -7. That's certainly interesting. And that's one where the total's actually gone down. The public's taking the under, and I assume the Sharps are taking the under too. Old Dominion's a team that plays very slow. I would have thought Old Dominion certainly the much better team between Old Dominion and Tennessee Tech, but 8 points was quite a bit. The game that I kind of liked that wasn't a premium play for me was Oakland. I kind of like Oakland -6. That would be my strongest lean of the ones that are left. Oakland's a team that really schedules up well. They have some veterans in the backcourt, especially Kay Felder. I think Towson would struggle to keep up with them. And I think that, the total is kind of interesting as well because Oakland's going to be trying to push that game a lot. Towson, if they're smart, they're going to try to slow that game down. I assume they will. They don't want to get into a high-scoring game with them. And, I would say that my strongest lean that's not a play is Oakland -6.
Yeah, that makes some sense. And I remember when we had Bennett Hayes on last week, he was talking about the death of Max Hooper's father. I believe it was cancer. And he was saying that, one of the things for Oakland is that this is a team that wants to continue playing hard for that senior guard. They want him to have, some memorable moments from what has been a very difficult season for him. And, at this point in the game, especially with a tournament like this with the Vegas 8, motivation, it means a ton. And if Oakland goes out there and they're motivated, it's hard to see a team in the field that can score with them, let alone match their intensity.
Yeah, absolutely. And even though that's one of those angles that you kind of hate to talk about, it is certainly a good angle. Motivation means everything in these tournaments, and I think Oakland will be very motivated here. And they're also a team who's played in a lot of these neutral court situations in these tournaments and playing against teams that are even better than Towson in the non-conference slate. So I think that really benefits them a lot. You notice some of these teams in these smaller postseason tournaments really haven't played on neutral courts very often at all. I think that's a disadvantage. I also think that a big thing to look for is how experienced the team is. And really, on the whole, Oakland isn't necessarily extremely experienced, but they have a really good backcourt that has a lot of veterans in it, and I think that's certainly important. So just a couple things that I would look for there, motivation, how experienced is a team. I think those are really important in these small postseason tournaments.
I'm looking at the odds board here, which is completely lighting up at this point, where you've got action coming in on Northern Illinois, that number down to 4.5 at some places, and then also action coming in on Towson, ironically enough, down to 5.5. So actually down to 5 now at 5 dimes. So obviously some very influential money driving some of these Vegas 8 numbers around.
Yeah, I see that right as I was finishing talking, too. I mean, Oakland down to -5, Old Dominion up to -8, UCSB down to -4. So I think there's some big money coming into these games. I like Oakland a little bit better at -5 than I did at -6. Still don't think it's going to be a premium play or actually a play for me, but certainly a strong lean there for me. And one thing that I tend to do is take my totals leans a little bit more seriously than my side leans because of my past history with totals being so much better than sides. Having said that, I have done pretty well on sides, both in the past and this year in the small postseason tournaments.
Are you still going off power ratings for this Vegas 8 tournament? I mean, how are you setting your numbers for this thing? Or for, really any of the tournaments that are still going on here?
Well, I am still going by power ratings, but I'm factoring in motivational angles a lot more than I normally would. One thing is that this time of the year can be difficult to have a big edge on your power ratings versus any number, especially in the NCAA tournament. Very rarely do I see big discrepancies between what I would make the line and what the odds makers do. So usually I'm going more on a motivational angle and not making it solely on a power ratings play. Occasionally I do have one where the number is just quite a bit off from what I made it, and that's usually on totals, not very often on sides. But, more often than not now, I think that instead of it being way off from the power rating, I'm trying to find a motivational angle or even, like, say, a travel angle that's a negative, like I said last week with the Vermont and Nevada game, things like that. I'm going more off the situational things than I would normally.
So we'll look at one game not in the Vegas 8 tonight. That is the CBI Championship, which is a best-of-3 series. Game 1 in Moorhead, Kentucky, between Nevada and Moorhead State. Saw this number open 3, balloon to 4.5, where it currently sits. What's interesting about this game is that we actually have a look-ahead line for Wednesday's game, which would be Game 2, which is all the way out in Nevada. We've got Moorhead State open a 3-point favorite at home on Monday. Nevada would be a 3.5-point home favorite on Wednesday, which sort of implies to me that these two teams would be about a pick 'em on a neutral.
Yeah, I guess so. I think Nevada's a little bit better than Moorhead State. So I think the one that I would like better is Nevada -3.5 home in the second game. And I kind of hope that they lose tonight so that is a must-win situation there on Wednesday. I think Nevada has played tougher teams throughout the course of the season. The Mountain West is certainly down from what it's been in the past, but it's still a lot better than the OVC. So I think that helps them quite a bit. I think Nevada's a team that is definitely pointing in the in the right direction here pretty quickly. I think that Eric Musselman is doing a very good job with this team. Nevada's problem is they don't make enough shots. They don't make very many threes, 28% on the year on three-pointers. They're a very good defense, though. Morehead State, if you look at their profile, Morehead State does a lot of damage on the offensive glass. Nevada's a pretty good rebounding team, so I think they can neutralize that a bit. Morehead State does a ton of fouling because they're a very unique team in that they press, but if they don't get a steal right away, they back off, play a zone defense, some man as well. And also, if Morehead State doesn't get a steal and score quickly, then they're holding the ball for almost the entire shot clock. So a unique team in that they press, try to get a steal, and then they don't push the tempo. But they certainly do have a lot of fouls there, and there's going to be a lot of fouls here where Nevada gets to the line at a pretty good clip to start with and shoots 73.5%. Marquez Coleman has been hurt, and he's in the last couple games he's gotten back into the swing of things and played really well there against Nevada. I think that's really important, or against Vermont for Nevada. And I think that's really important because Coleman's the best player on this team. But you have some young guys who are really coming of age here. Cameron Oliver is turning into a very good player for Nevada. I don't think there's anybody on Morehead State's team that is very good to guard a guy like Cameron Oliver. He's 6'8", really strong guy on the inside, gets a lot of offensive rebounds. DJ Fenner, another good player for Nevada. I think Nevada is certainly the deeper team here. And so I'm kind of hoping that Nevada loses this first game and then goes back in a must-win situation.
Yeah, but the must-win situation would alter the line, right? I mean, right now at BetOnline, the 3.5 number max wager of only $250. But wouldn't it make some sense to, if you like them at 3.5, grab it? Because if it is a must-win situation, it could be 5, 5.5, 6, something like that.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I do like the -3.5, and I wouldn't mind taking -3.5 right now at all. I usually don't select a play, as a premium play just based on a BetOnline line. So I'll probably be waiting on that one. I'll probably end up getting a worse line if that is the case. But I do like Nevada in that second game there. I think Nevada has a pretty good home court advantage as well. Morehead State's not going to be accustomed to going to Nevada. Now, obviously, Nevada's not going to be used to going to a place like Morehead State either. So you can use that one both ways. But, like I say, I think that Nevada is the better team here. I would favor them slightly on a neutral, maybe 1.5, something like that. I think that Morehead State certainly played well here in the postseason thus far, but Nevada's going to be the best team they've played. Morehead State went on the road and beat Siena in Ohio. Pretty impressive wins. Narrow wins there, and beat Duquesne at home. I think Nevada is a team that, like I say, is peaking at the right time, playing their best basketball right now. So I like Nevada in that second game.
Well, move to the NIT here, and a lot of people like to take a dump on the NIT, but I think that's pretty unfair because there's some really good teams that play in this event, and when they show up motivated, it can make for a really good tournament. Here you've got Valparaiso, a 2-point favorite against BYU, number open to pick 'em. We got two pretty good teams here, but also two very different styles.
Yeah, I like this game quite a bit. BYU is a team that can really score. They play at the 7th fastest tempo of anybody in the country. And Valpo is a team that plays relatively slowly, relies on their defense. Valpo, a really, really good defense, especially because they have Bastiel Fernandez on the inside, blocking more shots than anybody in the country. Tremendous shot blocker, really long arms. He really changes the game in a big way. That second half last week Valpo put up against St. Mary's was really impressive. St. Mary's was winning 31-29 at halftime. St. Mary's, who had one of the most efficient offenses in the country, scored 13 points in the second half of that game. Valpo can really lock down on defense. I really like that about them. BYU, a team that it's more about outscoring you. They take a lot of three-pointers. They're good at them, 38%, 38.5%. But the thing that I worry about that, and you know where I'm going here, is that this game's at Madison Square Garden, very bad shooting backdrop, the worst one in the country, most people think. And for teams that are not used to playing there, I think that can really affect them a lot. I certainly would rather go with the team that relies on defense